We've visited dozens of camps like these in the last 6 months, and we've spoken to hundreds of people living in them. Everywhere you go, the anger is the same.
It's been 6 months now since the earthquake hit. Tell us about how bad is the situation now? Do you think the politicians, do you think the NGOs, do you think they really understand what kind of a situation you're living in now?
ONG ainsi que le gouvernement, li connaît situation, si on veut débloquer situation pour alléger souffrance peuple là, yo capable faire.
When the earthquake struck, the world was stunned by the pictures of Haiti's collapsed presidential palace.
We were in this very square just 24 hours after the earthquake hit. Back then, none of these shelters were here, just thousands of terrified people huddled together to try to get through the night. 6 months on, many things have changed about the way this place looks, but there's one aspect of life that remains the same.
Louina Alabre lost her husband in the earthquake. Just 3 days later, her 14-year-old daughter Falonde was attacked by a group of men.
La crié, me dit oh so gen ou pe de crier quoi so gen koto joun sans ça yo li dit ou pas parler non pas parler pas parler l'el vini kounya il est à la dim c'est trois messieurs qui vini yo a les âmes mettre sous lit et puis yo dit comme ça yo prend yo boucher figil et puis trois messieurs yo fait quoi sous lui assassiner net.
In May, Louina herself was raped when she went to use the latrines. The attackers were hiding inside.
Konya et puis yo a 11 ans mais maintenant oreilles moi. Yo dit si me fait bruit y a tiré.
While there have been no thorough surveys and no official statistics, those working with rape survivors say that assaults in the camps are on the rise. Here, at a legal office in downtown Port-au-Prince, at least 6 different Haitian women's groups meet to work out ways to protect women in the camps and provide support for survivors, many of whom come here for emergency medical and psychological care.
Même pas aucun ONG qui campe dans situation de violence sur femmes yo. Pas connait même pas aucun qui campe sur violence. Ni qui pour chercher un gens qui pour éviter ou bien qui pour chercher une structure au gouvernement qui pour aider nous diminuer taux de violence au jour le jour violence vient plus.
The leaders of at least one of the organizations, Favelec, told us they've not received any assistance from international NGOs.
Bonsoir.
The Favelec organizers took us to the Savan Pistache camp, where there have been numerous cases of rape and violent assaults on women in the past 6 months. Here, they introduced us to 14-year-old Maudeline Dereval. 2 months ago, she was sleeping with her mother in their shelter. At 4 in the morning, a man broke in with a gun and a machete. He told Maudeline's mother that if she called for help, he'd kill her daughter. He then took Maudeline to a nearby ruined house, put a gun to her head, and raped her. When her father went to the police, they told him it wasn't their problem. A few shelters down, and we heard another story.
They came with machetes?
This woman told us her home had recently been broken into.
The only security this woman had was this tarpaulin stretched over the entrance to her tent.
The man who came in slashed it with a razor. He told her that if she didn't have sex with him, he'd kill her. She was relatively lucky. She managed to call for help and the man fled. They're hoping that these testimonies will eventually make criminal investigations possible, in spite of the apparent indifference of the Haitian police. And while we saw no Haitian police here, we did find the symbols of international protection, the United Nations flag and blue helmets.
Can we speak to the commander?
This base houses some of the UN's 10,000-strong force.
I'm going to tell them that there are cases of rape that are going on every night in this camp and just ask them what they're trying to do about it, right?
We tried putting the women's concerns to the base's Sri Lankan commander.
How do they contact you? I mean, if there are cases of rape going on at night and you guys are right here, can you not help?
Oh, gentlemen, don't take the video here, understood?
Okay. Well, the commander's told me that neither he nor his soldiers are actually allowed to even speak to the civilian population of this camp without permission from his commanding officer. He's given me the name of somebody at a UN base some distance from here, but he wouldn't give out a telephone number, and there's no way for these residents to even communicate with the soldiers who are living in this base.